Any aspiring PMs in the room? Perfect, we have a good split. So today I'll be talking about how to land an AI PM role if you are a PM wanting to go more into AI or you want to become a product person. So I'm Iris. I host my own podcast called Iris Lens, and then we talk about AI upskilling, and I've been an AI PM for the past 4 years. And this is a quick background of my experience and how I broke into product. So I broke into product. I had a background at Waterloo studying finance, and then I decided to break into product when I founded my own nonprofit called Open Meal. It was a 0 to 1 nonprofit during COVID where we were helping restaurants to be able to give out free meals to people who are food insecure. And through that experience, I was able to fundraise $42,000, give out 3,000 meals during COVID, and that was a side project I built when I was in second year university. And with that, I was able to leverage it to get into internship at Microsoft, Google X, and then worked full-time at Skill AI, Study AI, Arteria AI, and then at Zynga. So that's just a brief background of the industry I've been in. And now, what has changed in the hiring space is that there's a paradigm shift. People no longer look at your resume as much, and they put more weight on your portfolio, on your building experience, what you've done in the past. So in the past, it's a lot more traditional, like if you have an MBA, if you work at big tech, and you're able to ace case interview, that's good enough for being a product manager. But now, as a new AI PM, you will need to learn how to do AI workflows, how to build rapid prototyping, and have building in public on your side projects, and then have really good product sense and taste. So I think we all know this, like you don't need permission to do a lot of things. So to be an AI PM and to be PMs in general, you need to do a lot of coffee chats and doing cold outreach and then getting warm intros for referrals. You also want to be building communities because your community is your net worth, and while you're building communities and hosting events such as like product events and hosting your own PM groups or doing side projects like hackathons, this is a way for you to build your personal brand. And I'll talk more about that and why personal branding is so important for you to land your next role. And then you want to also be shipping side projects publicly, and then it's so easy to build project with Cursor like all of you have seen today. And then lastly, you want to be writing posts on LinkedIn because that helps you build your credibility. And then the type of posts you write also can help people know that you have expertise in these areas. And I've been posting on LinkedIn since COVID, so for the past around 6 years. And I've grown my follower to around 23,000 on LinkedIn. And it helped a lot when more people are looking at your LinkedIn profile. It gives you credibility by default. And I want to share the best networking hack. I think we want to be building communities because when you're on your own, you're only limited to your own network. So I think the best way to network is to have co-outreach with a friend group. So what that looks like could be a shared job tracker. Like you share the jobs that you're looking at with other PM friends, and then you can pool leads together and the insight you've had in terms of interviewing at these companies. And then you can have a referral circle where you share referrals and introduce each other to hiring managers that you know in your circle. And then doing group coffee chats or attending hackathons together and building projects. And then doing peer mock interviews. So the commonality of all of these is community. When you have a community, you're uplifting each other, you're helping each other out. And I think what people get wrong about networking a lot of times is that they're there to ask for value. They're requesting instead of adding value. So I think the important thing about networking is that you want to come into a conversation trying to understand what kind of problem they're facing and how you can add value to their life. So if you come into every conversation, every networking event with an add value first mindset, you are going to stand out because people will remember that you're the person that's trying to help them with their problem and that they will be able to help you in return in the future. So I think it's really important to instill the add value first mindset when you're networking. And the second, it's like really important to build genuine relationship. Like you don't always have to be talking about professional networking. You can be building your connection on a personal level, like what are your hobbies and how can you connect on a human level. And lastly, to stay top of mind of someone, you want to be again, consistently engaging with them on socials. So LinkedIn is the best place to stay on top of someone's mind. And then speaking more on the personal branding side. So you want to build your LinkedIn like a product, because when you are trying to find a job, you are the product and you're trying to sell yourself. You don't want any generic profiles. You want to showcase the expertise you have. So good way to stand out is by sharing value first. So on LinkedIn, you can share about any like AI insight you've had from building your side projects, any framework that you use as a product manager, and then anything showing that you're building in public is going to help you stand out, and sharing personal journeys. So for me, I built my content pillar around kind of like who I am as a person. I built it mostly around how I broke into product from finance background, and the projects I've built in the past, my immigration journey as a first-generation immigrant. So I think you can share anything that's personal to you, and if you're doing good storytelling, people will follow you for your insight and for your journey. And now that people are hiring more visible builders, so here are a list of ideas that I have in terms of what you can be posting about, like product teardown, critique of any new products that's coming out, insight from using an AI product, career lesson you've learned. You can do a STAR method of like, this is what happened, this is the action you took, similar to an interview, but sharing a story of what happened in your career in the past. That also gets a lot of insight into what you've done, and then also build credibility for you. And any tactical PM framework, or if you're hosting events or community, I think that is a huge plus as well. And so why it matters? Because building community is going to help you stand out, and this is what hiring managers trust. And when you're building in public, you're building trust with your audience and building trust with potential hiring managers. So they trust clear thinkers with original opinions, people who can explain what they think and how they will approach problems differently. That's why having the START method of writing a post is helpful. And then, so when someone comes to your LinkedIn, they should understand what are you building, and what domain do you understand deeply, and what's your domain expertise? And why should someone trust that your critical thinking is different from others? How are you different? And so here are some like potential ideas for you as well. Like you can talk about, for example, why Cursor grew so fast, 3 onboarding mistakes that AI startups makes, or PM framework and AI workflow tutorials. So that's also part of the reason why I started my podcast, Iris Lens, because I wanted to talk more about AI workflows and workflows that other people can actually use and deliver that value first. So I just started my podcast a month ago, and I've already recorded 4 episodes, and mostly are live podcasting. So we have a live audience, and then we sit down and talk about AI workflow and practical stuff that people can actually use. And we also have a workflow library. So you can do the same and deliver value, write newsletter, or post on LinkedIn, whichever channel works best for you. And because you can now ship without the PM title, if for those aspiring PMs, even if you're not a product manager, you can ship, and then you can put yourself as a product manager for the experience. So if you ship any AI projects, side projects, whether it's agent workflow or a Chrome extension or an app, or you can go to hackathons, work with startups. So when I first started in product manager, because I didn't have any experience, I just volunteered with startups. So I just say like, hey, I see your website is not converting very well, and I have this idea to help you. So then I would volunteer and then gain experience that way and put yourself out there. Like I remember when I was in second year, I was pitching myself to CEOs saying that here's how your product can improve, and this is what happened. Was like later on he then hired me on as an intern because I was able to provide him value with insights that he didn't see. And then lastly, the writing tactical pieces. You can share your PRDs, you can share your product teardowns online as well, and provide value with other people. So recruiter want to know, like, did you ship? How did the user engage? What are the end user impact? And why people should care about your product? And how did you iterate? And sharing some AI prototyping tools. So we all know Cursor, Replit, V0 are very, very easy to build. And then for AI assistant, I've been using Claude and Whisperflow together. And Whisperflow is amazing because you can speak way faster than you type. And when you have a tool like Whisperflow, you can talk to it, and then you can talk to your AI agent and just increase your productivity a lot. And then for workflow automation, most people use Zapier and NAN, which are more configurable pieces. So the difference between NAN and Claude is that with NAN, you're able to set up the different block of how exactly you want that workflow to look like in a diagram, versus Claude is that you build an AI agent, it's more non-deterministic. Sometimes it does things, sometimes it doesn't do it exactly the same you want. So it's harder for you to fine-tune that workflow. And then for design, Figma and Lovable is great. I actually recently used Miro. They're really good at collaborating with design. So in Miro, you can actually write out, you can pull in the user insight, ask it to write you a PRD, and then use that PRD to also generate potential screens for designs. If you just lay out like this, these are the 3 screens, these are the outcomes I want to see on each screen, and then it will generate design based on your PRD and the solution that you're outlining based on the screens. So with all of these tools available, there's no reason not to build anymore in 2026. You want to be building your own prototype and then really dive deep into the user problems you're solving and validate the ideas. Because right now, another problem is that with the high velocity of shipping, there's a lot more AI fluff that no one actually uses, and it doesn't produce real value. So you want to make sure that you validate the idea and spend the most time in terms of problem validation before you go into building. And then actually, I'll do a quick demo of how I use Whisperflow, and then I can show you my Claude setup as well. So I basically built multiple skills in Claude, and I'm able to use the exact skills for my use case. So for example, I promote events a lot because I host a lot of events. And like this week, I'm hosting 5 events for Toronto Tech Week. So then I wrote a skill asking it, the prompt is like, I will basically first ask Claude to interview me about my day-to-days. Like, what do I do as a PM? And then what are some skills that you can recommend for me? And then based on my workflow, it recommended doing emote promotion. So then I built the event promotion skill, and now I can use it. So I can save the skill, and then I asked it to refer to my LinkedIn post, and then learn my voice and be able to write posts similar to me. So for example, if I were to use Whisperflow right now, hey Claude, write me a post about the Cursor conference, and I'm speaking at the product room about how to be an AI PM in 2026. Write the event recap and in terms of how well the event was perceived. So then it will basically, using Whisperflow, I'm able to just get the content out very quickly, and I describe the post in more details. And then I can say like, use the event promo skill. So then it will be able to use my skill that I built. So this is kind of the workflow for using Claude Cowork, and then you're building agents that work for you in different skills. And I also have skills for my podcast. Like I have a skill for guest brief review, for PM interview preps, since right now I'm also job searching for a new product role, and then referral outreach, and then I can use each skill differently. And then I also have scheduled workflow. So I have like weekday email triage, and it will run every day and then summarize a newsletter for me so that I'm not spending a lot of time reading all the newsletters. So that's a quick demo for how I'm using Claude and the workflows that you can be building as well. And going back to the presentation. So then here's some resources that also help me a lot. I think it's important to have PM fundamentals. These are the books that has been around for a long time, like Inspired, Cracking the PM Interview. It talks about all the structures that you can use for your PM interviews. Decode and Conquer, another great one, Escaping the Build Trap. talk more about building. And then for AI product thinking, like the newsletter I follow, Lenny's newsletter, everyone knows, and every.to, Latent Space, A16Z AI content are also good. And you can also now follow Iris Lens. We're on Spotify. We are also writing Substack newsletter, and we summarize the AI workflow that you could be using that will be most helpful for you. And yeah, it's important to just apply the framework to actually building instead of just reading them. So to summarize what gets you hired as a product manager, first, you need personal brand because that establishes credibility. That tells people who you are by just visiting your LinkedIn, and they know that within 10 seconds of scrolling through your feed. And with the personal brand, you're able to build up your expertise as well. So then people will have more trust in you when they're trying to look through whether you are a good person to hire. And then second, you want to be networking intentionally. So when you're networking, build relationship that will compound over time, build genuine connection, and provide value first. And third, you want to be building projects publicly because of how easy it is to build and then using all the tools I've outlined. Or even you can be building AI workflows. So how I think about AI workflows is that I would try to think about all the actions I produce in a day. What are the most repeatable actions I do that can be replaced by an AI agent? Then I will ask Claude to interview me, tell them that, oh, let's say I do this amount of outreach for PM job referrals every day. And here are my current process. Interview me and ask me about where you can help me replace this kind of job. Either it being like doing research on jobs or doing research on hiring managers. And then it will write a workflow for you. And then I was like, help me build a skill. So it's really easy these days to build customized skills just for your own workflow. And then lastly, you want to be prototyping quickly and building in public. So any of these workflow I built, I've shared, you can share on LinkedIn because I'm sure not everyone knows how to build AI workflows with Cowork. So you can be helping other people while uplifting your own personal brand. So in this whole process, you're not only establishing your credibility, building community, but at the same time, it will help you get hired faster because people can see that you are clearly in this space and you know what you're talking about. And yeah, that summarized most of my talk. And if you want to follow Iris Lens, our podcast, you can scan our QR code here. It will take you to my link tree, and then you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and also follow our podcast on Spotify, Substack. And yeah, I also do career coaching, so if any of you is interested in breaking the product or have questions, feel free to ask and come talk to me after as well. But now I'll open the floor up to any questions. Yeah.
You talked a lot about personal brand. Everyone knows it's important, but what's like that next step for that cold outreach? So like, let's say now you've made a couple posts, maybe start getting some followers. How do you actually get these people? You mentioned you talked to a CEO for your first internship back in college.
Yeah.
Like, what is that like? The cold outreach process, at least.
Yeah, for sure. So first, once you've posted more, people already know you more, it's easier for them to respond to you. So when you do cold outreach, you still want to be introduced yourself, like your experience, this is what you built, and give them a concise background of who you are and tell them about the value that you can provide. So pitch them on the problems that you see their product has. Or you can ask them about, like, what is the biggest problem you're facing? What is the challenge that is stopping your product from going 10x today? And then based on the problem they tell you, you can tap into your expertise, tap into your resources. Maybe you can send them events that you know is happening relevant to their space or newsletters. So any way that you can provide value will help make you stand out or help you solve problems they see in their product. So I think that's also a key way for product managers, like in terms of getting promotion. How you get promoted is that you're solving your boss problem and you're doing the job for them. So if you're able to think ahead, plan strategically, and then be able to insert yourself into, like, what is that CEO thinking? Like, what problems they're facing, and how can you help them? So that way, you will stand out when you're doing cold outreach, and then they're more likely to remember you and hire you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? And yeah.
The LinkedIn algorithm is notorious for changing over time. And how do you keep track of that when you're trying to build a presence on LinkedIn? Like if they prioritize certain kind of format or content, how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it is actually true that right now the LinkedIn algorithm is catering more towards, so in the past it's like people who have more followers, when they post, they will for sure get higher engagement and a lot more, like, I guess, push on their posts. But nowadays, you actually, if your content is relevant, if you mention a keyword that someone is following, your content is more likely to be discoverable. So LinkedIn is using an algorithm that's similar to TikTok, where the discoverability and going viral ability is higher even for people who doesn't have as many followers. So that means you need to be following the trend of what people are really talking about. And I would say that LinkedIn is still mostly like text and image based for most content. And even with that, you can perform pretty well. I think consistency is the key. So if you can be posting like 3 times a week, that's a lot, but I would say like if you can keep up with like once a week posting, that is a good way to start. And then the more you post, the more LinkedIn will promote your content, and you're more likely to be seen and discovered by people who doesn't follow you.